a.m. in London, 11 a.m. in, Milan, Frankfurt and Paris. What we do have at the moment is breaking news coming from the Eurozone. Its consumer confidence figures are out at the moment, showing, well, an improvement actually from the month before. The May number coming in at -9. The figure for the month of April was actually -10. Economic confidence rising, in fact, higher than had been expected, and indeed higher than the previous month as well. Taking a look at the consumer price index, the CPI estimate year-on-year for May coming in stronger than expected and stronger than April as well. 2.5% the rate there, and we do have the EU harmonized rate year-on-year 2.3% as far as that goes as well. Well, this is Bloomberg. Let's get some reaction to these figures. Lehman's chief European economist Michael Hume joins me now. Michael, thank you.
The army said that it will intensify the use of special commando forces in response to the missile attacks. And that's the latest news. Richard, back to you.
Thanks a lot for that, Richard. Now, today's Wall Street Journal is reporting that the Euronext suitors are preparing for, well, a so-called final showdown. The paper's saying that John Thain, the chief executive officer of the NYSE Group, is meeting Jean-François Théodore, his counterpart at Euronext, in New York this week. The meeting, which is to work out the final details of the company's proposed merger. However, Deutsche Börse is telling European shareholders that a merger of Euronext with the NYSE would really be a US takeover. The journal really at the moment referring to Deutsche Börse as saying that such a tie-up would kill any hopes of creating a European champion in the current global wave of exchange consolidation. The paper says Deutsche Börse chairman Kurt Wiermetz plans meetings with French banks BNP Paribas, Crédit Agricole and Société Générale. Together with Dexia, they own 11% of Euronext shares. Well, we're joined now in the studio by Nikos Mourkogiannis. He's a partner and industry expert at Panacea. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, Nikos. Now, where are we right now with this?
Well, in one word, we're in a stalemate. John Thain told the world that within 48 hours he would have had this deal wrapped up. Well, it isn't wrapped up. There were no flowers thrown to him on his way to Paris. What I think is happening is there is a disconnect in people's minds between the stated purpose of the two sides and the strategy they are pursuing. This is a very important deal for NYSE. Jean-François Théodore did an excellent job explaining this to Figaro this weekend, why this is very good for NYSE. It's good because it allows them to bypass some Washington regulations and gives them a footing into the European market. However, if this is such a good deal and the purpose is to achieve all these great things, where is the premium? The question when it comes to NYSE is, where's the money? Because there's no question it's a takeover. When it comes to Deutsche Börse, the stated purpose, which has all the traits of a moral purpose, is integration of the European financial markets. But for this to work, the people who need to be persuaded first and foremost are the French. Obviously, this has not happened. So we are in a stalemate because there is a mismatch between stated purposes and strategies that play out every day.
Okay, well, no flowers for John Thain, certainly no flowers for Rita Francioni either. I mean, why is it so difficult to convince shareholders in Euronext, from both parties' perspective right now, to back the bid?
If my analysis of what is happening is correct, then the action ramifications are simple but also different for each of the sides. Deutsche Börse has to persuade the French, the Dutch, and not only perhaps, that this is not a German solution but a European solution to the integration of the financial markets. And when it comes to John Thain, he has to pay a premium which the shareholders will find fair given his lofty goals and very important purposes.
Okay, what are the options open right now for, let's say, Deutsche Börse, should it not actually get Euronext?
First of all, Deutsche Börse is a very successful company. It has a business model that is proven, has been rewarded by shareholders, and the prospect of what Deutsche Börse will do if it does not get Euronext should be discussed if NYSE gets Euronext. As I told you, we're in a stalemate right now.
Okay, well, let's put this another way now. Yeah. What a New York Stock Exchange deal with Euronext would firmly make it a global player, wouldn't it, right now? How does that actually work against just a European player which looks inward-looking as opposed to one which is looking globally?
There's a misnomer here. If this was already a global industry, you would not need real estate assets in Europe to play the global game. What is the fact of the matter here is that last year, 23 out of the 24 listings of companies that were seeking more than $1 billion happened outside of the United States because of the regulatory environment in the United States. So we're not talking here about global integration. We're talking about problems in the US system that people are trying to solve in Europe. And I think this is the angle, or if you want, the dog that hasn't barked yet. Where does Europe stand? Europe right now is faced with the real prospect of having 2 of its 3 major stock exchanges controlled from across the Atlantic, regulated by the SEC probably, or most likely. Is this something that the leadership in Europe and the Commission want to accept? I think that's the very important side of the story that nobody has focused on as yet.
Nikos, very quickly, we've only got about 50 seconds left. What happens next in this?
Well, as you said, when you started reporting, John Thain has promised to come over here and table his offer.
That's all to pay for then after that.
Exactly.
Thank you very much indeed, Nikos. Nikos Mourkogiannis there joining us as a partner at Panthea, just talking to us about, well, Euronext, the 2 companies, 2 parties, of course, vying for control of the company. New York Stock Exchange, of course, Wall Street Journal suggesting today that we've got John Thain meeting with Jean-François Thiédot, the chief executive of Euronext, soon. We've also got, of course, Deutsche Börse in the frame, and Deutsche Börse are trying to convince key shareholders that their bid is the better one as far as Euronext goes. Now, let's take a look at some of the other M&A news.